Great. Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all Missouri students, sponsored by the Missouri Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at MOACAC.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website, MOACAC.org. I'd like to now turn it over to our presenters.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Megan Dorton, and I have the privilege of serving as the Senior Associate Director of Admissions at Purdue University in West Lafayette. It's good to be with you this evening. And with me, I have my colleague. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Tommy Lynch, and I serve as Assistant Director of Admissions at Purdue University.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and dive right in. I will go on with the presentation, and Tommy will be monitoring the Q&A. So if you have questions as we go through, please feel free to shoot those to Tommy, and he will be happy to answer. So a little bit about Purdue University. We have an undergraduate enrollment at the university of about 33,000 total students. You can see some demographic information here about the university as well and where all of our students come from. A quick look at where we're located. So Purdue is located in West Lafayette, Indiana. We are about an hour north of Indianapolis and about two and a half hours south of Chicago. I make many trips to the St. Louis area, which you can see there. We're about 4.5 hours by car to St. Louis. We're about 8 hours by car to the Kansas City area. So depending on kind of where you are in Missouri, we are basically a car ride away. And again, located in West Lafayette, Indiana. So this is an overview or an aerial look at our campus. You'll notice kind of a road and a river bridge there going through. We have two kind of neighboring communities that make up Lafayette and West Lafayette. Our home is in West Lafayette, but we have a neighboring community of Lafayette. And between our two communities, we really have all of the things you would expect from what really will be your home away from home. In West Lafayette, Indiana, miles of biking and hiking trails, restaurants, movie theaters, shopping centers. So lots of ways that you can spend your time while you're a student on our campus. Our students at the university have lots of ways that they can dive into academic opportunities. So we have undergraduate research that's available to all students as early as your first year. Purdue has just recently actually received an award. We have been ranked in the top 20 for the last 6 years for the number of patents issued on our campus. So that's a worldwide ranking. So we're really proud of that. Lots of undergraduate research opportunities available at Purdue. We do have an honors college. The honors college at Purdue is a bit different than maybe what you know or expect from an honors college or know of honors when you think of high school. So honors in high school is typically taking courses that might be more challenging. So instead of regular English, you're taking honors or AP English, for example. Honors at Purdue is a bit different. So instead of taking honors to get depth in an academic program, our students choose to participate in the honors college so that they get breadth. The honors college allows our students to get the breadth added on to their academic experience. Our honors college students do a thesis or a scholarly project. This is a great opportunity as well for students who have a wide variety of interests and really want to be able to, for lack of a better term, dabble in a wide variety of things. Our honors college allows that. All students in any major at Purdue are going to get the depth. So your major will give you the depth, but if you want the breadth, if you want to see how your major relates to a wide variety of areas. If you have a wide variety of interests, the Honors College might provide that to you. Students can actually apply to our Honors College right within the application for admission. We have an entrepreneurship certificate program. The great thing about our entrepreneurship program is that it's a program that stands alone. Our entrepreneurship certificate can be added on to any major at the university. So if you're a student in our College of Engineering or a student in our College of Education, you can pursue the entrepreneurship certificate program. And this is actually a really popular choice among our students. We have some specialized program within our College of Liberal Arts that I just want to mention. One in particular, so we have the Cornerstone Integrated Liberal Arts program, and then also the Degree Plus program. The Degree Plus program is specifically for students who are studying a STEM area and want to additionally have a liberal arts second degree or a double major in the College of Liberal Arts. It provides a really seamless transition to add that second major again for a student studying STEM who would also like to add a liberal arts double major. We're really proud of the cultural centers that we have to offer. So Latino, Black, and Native American cultural centers, as well as an LGBTQ center and an Asian American education and cultural center. So our cultural centers are really a home away from home for lots of students. All students are welcome in our cultural centers. They're known for a wide variety of things. So one thing that I always really enjoy is the lavender graduation ceremony that the LGBTQ Center puts on. You see actually on the screen right now, students participating in some activity within the Black Cultural Center. So a wide variety of opportunities, a great place for not only students who identify with these cultures, but it's also a way for students who don't identify with these cultures to learn about them. And so the cultural centers, again, are open to all students and great resources for students who do identify with the cultural centers. So let's talk a little bit about transitioning to the university and what it's like at Purdue as far as the academic piece. So our Academic Success Center is a way that our students are going to be able to get things like intensive notes taking sessions, intensive study skill sessions, if you need to do group tutoring sessions. All of that information, all of those resources are housed within our Academic Success Center. A student who worked for us for a number of years, Destiny was her name. So Destiny was a great high school student. She came to college and within her first semester realized that the way she had always done things, she had her planner, and that's how she had always operated, with a planner. And when she got to college, she realized that the planner was not cutting it for managing her academic requirements and things that she needed to do for her class. She had work as a part-time employee within our office in admissions. Destiny was also a manager for one of our Big Ten athletic teams, and she was part of a few student organizations. And so she recognized that she needed to find a new way to organize herself. And so she marched herself right over to the Academic Success Center and got a lot of resources to help her with that organizational piece. So an app that she could use on her phone that would help with organization. They helped her with some color coding things. So some resources that helped her navigate that process. So the Academic Success Center is a great resource for our students. I also want to touch on academic innovation. So you see here, the photo right underneath the academic innovation slide or section, that's a photo from the back of our largest lecture hall on campus. So I always like to point that out. Unfortunately, you all can't visit our campus at this moment, which is a bummer for all of us. I'm guessing it's a bummer for you too, but I do like to mention that this is a photo from our large lecture hall. And what the student is doing is participating in something called Hot Seat. So Hot Seat is something that you'll find in a number of our classes at Purdue. It's essentially an in-class chat. And what happens in Hot Seat, the faculty member will essentially have this chat pulled up on the screen, kind of like what you might see here in this Zoom meeting, just something kind of a sidebar, if you will. And as the faculty member is going through the lecture, if a student has a question, if they want to have additional discussion around a topic that was discussed. If the student is maybe unsure of what was just mentioned, so if the student wasn't confident in the information just discussed or needed additional clarification, they could type that into Hot Seat. There's an up button essentially, so you can like things if someone has typed something into the chat and you also have that same question, or you also didn't understand something. And so then the faculty member can see what's happening in Hot Seat and respond and alter the way that they're presenting that information so that they can be sure that you as a student are getting what you need out of that lecture. Of course, I always like to remind students, the old raise your hand and ask a question, that's still alive and well, but Hot Seat tends to be a really popular way that our students like to engage with our faculty. Our Center for Career Opportunities is a resource available to all of our students. Purdue actually has the largest student-run career fair in the country. It's called Industrial Roundtable. So in a typical year, Industrial Roundtable is held outside. We have over 400 corporate recruiters annually who come to Industrial Roundtable to meet with our students. It's actually an entire week of activities. The earlier part of the week is typically where our students are going to attend information sessions, luncheons, and dinners to learn about the opportunities that are available within these corporations. This isn't just for students seeking jobs. This is actually the Industrial Roundtable, the corporate recruiters are there also looking for students for internship and co-op opportunities as well. In the middle part of the week is actually the roundtable, the fair. So what you see here pictured on the right-hand side. And then at the end of the week, many of these employers will host in-person interviews on our campus. As I mentioned, Industrial Roundtable is the largest student-run career fair in the country. We have over 35 career fairs, though, throughout the year. So many opportunities for students to engage with corporate recruiters throughout the year. Our Center for Career Opportunities is also the home to our pre-professional advising office. So many Purdue students choose to go on to graduate or professional school, things like law school, medical school, and dental school. The pre-professional advising office is an additional layer of academic advising available to assist you as you navigate that process. Generally, starting in your second year at Purdue, you'll have some regular meetings with the pre-professional advising office. They'll help ensure that you're on track to take the right prerequisites. So let's say you're planning to go to medical school. There are a set of prerequisites that you'll need to take in order to be a competitive candidate for medical school, and our pre-professional advising office will assist you with ensuring that you've taken the right courses, helping you evaluate whether or not your grade in the course will be competitive or if you might need to consider retaking it. They'll help you prepare for the MCAT, give you studying schedules to prepare for the MCAT. So it's a great resource for our students who are really navigating that professional school process. I love this photo because it's actually a photo from one of my favorite residence halls. This is Windsor Residence Hall. It's actually, there's actually a number of residence halls that are kind of part of Windsor Residence Hall. So it's a really beautiful, popular, old building, old hall on our campus. Living on campus, about 95% of our incoming students choose to live at Purdue. We don't require students to live on campus. Again, though, about 95% of our students do choose to live on campus. It's a really popular option. Historically, about 14,000 total undergraduate students live in our residence halls. Within our residence halls, we have over 15 different options and a wide variety of halls for students to choose from. Our residence halls are, as I mentioned, varied, and while the amenities vary, so does the cost. So our students can live anywhere from a residence hall that has no air conditioning, it hasn't been renovated, it's on the edge of campus, all the way to a single room, private bathroom. Someone comes in once a week and cleans it for you. So lots of options and a wide variety of cost when it comes to the residence hall choices that our students have. Within our residence hall system, our students can participate in things like learning communities. So this is where a group of, let's say, 20 or 30 students with the same academic major or college, as well as the same common interests. So this would be things like the All-American Marching Band learning community associated with the College of Engineering, or the Women in Science learning community. So learning communities, again, are groups of students with similar academic interests and common additional interest areas. Our residence hall, since you're not physically visiting our campus, I'll go into a little more detail about how our residence hall process works. This is something you would learn from our students if you were visiting Purdue. So our residence hall system is basically it's a lottery system. So all students who do a housing contract by the 5th of May are automatically guaranteed on-campus housing at the university. So Purdue University housing. When you do your housing contract, you rank your preferences. So do you want to live in a double occupancy room? Do you want to live in apartment style or suite style? Do you prefer air conditioning or not? So you don't rank your specific halls, you rank the sort of hall, the style of hall that you're most interested in. If your lottery number is 1, you're probably going to get your first choice preference. If your lottery number is 8,000, you're likely going to get nothing on your preference list, but you're guaranteed housing if you do that housing contract by May 5th of your senior year. So a little bit about dining at Purdue. You're seeing here a photo outside of Earhart Residence Hall and Dining Court. Amelia Earhart was actually a women's career coach at Purdue. So you'll see a few things with her name around our campus. So in our dining courts, you see a few photos of what those look like in normal times. Within our dining courts, we have on-the-go options, mini marts, dining courts. So those are all pretty standard issue, what you would expect within the dining court. Our on-the-go is a great way for you to grab a few things in between class or on your way to class if you don't want to go into the dining court to get a plate of food. Mini marts, exactly as it seems, you can kind of collect things just like a mini mart. And your dining swipes will work at any of these options. So for example, if you have a meal swipe and you're not going to go into the dining court, you could go to on the go and get, let's say, a sandwich, 2 sides, and a soda for that equivalent of a meal swipe to eat in the dining court. We do have a number of on-campus restaurants, including food trucks that you can also use your meal swipes at. The food trucks have become very popular this year, of course. And then one thing that Purdue has, which you may have seen in the news, we actually have little robots that will deliver food across campus at the university. I don't think it's in this presentation, but if you just even Google Purdue robot food delivery, you'll probably see these cute little white robots delivering food all around our campus. It's actually pretty impressive process. So lots of ways that we ensure that you eat while you're on our campus. So our students certainly choose to get involved. This is a picture from the Purdue Grand Prix. This is a Purdue tradition on our campus. Grand Prix is just one of many ways. We have over 1,000 clubs and organizations for students to get involved with. With our clubs and organizations, some popular ones include the Pet a Puppy Club, which you see there in the bottom left-hand corner. We have great musical opportunities at Purdue, so we don't have any majors in music. No one at Purdue can major in music, but we have these musical opportunities like the Purdue All-American Marching Band, Jazz Band, Pep Band, Concert Band, orchestras. We also have the Purduettes and the Varsity Glee Club. So those are 2 vocal ensembles that students can participate in. So if you're interested in music, we certainly have that at the university. You see there in the bottom a few folks who are wearing their Greek letters. Purdue's about 20% Greek. So if you have an interest in fraternity or sorority life, certainly that's available at the university. Our recreational sports center, I always say our new recreational sports center, but it's really not new. It's been around for almost 10 years now, but it is a beautiful facility that really provides all of the things that you would need if you want to stay fit and active while you're away at Purdue. As you see here, we have healthy cooking demonstrations, group X classes. Our recreational sports center is also home to our intramural sports club and intramural sports teams. So really normal things for intramural sports like flag football and sand volleyball. And then we have obscure things like intertube water polo. So lots of ways to stay fit and active as a student at the university. So we are part of the Big Ten Athletic Conference. As you may have seen, we are going to begin playing football here in the next couple of days. So Big Ten Athletics is really a huge piece of the Purdue experience. We have 18 men's and women's varsity sports here at the university in a wide variety of ways that our students are able to cheer on the Boilermakers. We have the paint crew, the cheering section for our men's basketball team, the Boiler Brigade for football. We have the block party for women's volleyball. So the school spirit, the camaraderie that surrounds Big Ten athletics and Purdue sports in particular is really an exciting thing about the university. I always really like to talk about one of my favorite things when it comes to Purdue sports is a Saturday morning, and I'm an Indiana girl, born and raised, so of course basketball is always near and dear to my heart, but I really love a Saturday morning during football season. The All-American Marching Band actually marches from the heart of campus up through campus to our football stadium. So about 380 strong, the All-American Marching Band marches to the football field. Thousands of people are rushing to Ross-Ade Stadium to watch the football game. So I just really love kind of the spirit that surrounds that. It's one of my favorite things about being on campus on a Saturday morning. I'm going to transition now to what we call the brick and mortar. This is truly just the nuts and bolts of applying to the university. So I'll go ahead and transition. And again, if you have questions, feel free to put those in the chat for Tommy. So applying to Purdue, you'll apply using the common application. Within that common application, you're able to do literally everything that we need for an application for admission. So within the common application, you'll answer 2 Purdue specific questions. You're going to tell us, why are you interested in Purdue? Also tell us why you're interested in your particular major. I say tell us why you're interested in your particular major because at the university, we're a direct admit institution. You are able to apply directly to the major that you're interested in studying if you know what you want to study. We do have an undecided option called exploratory studies, but that Purdue question about why you're interested in the major is something that we really like to see. Why are you applying to this particular program? Within the application as well, you're able to self-report, and we actually encourage you to self-report your high school courses and grades. You're going to basically data enter that information exactly as it appears on your high school transcript. So if your high school has English, AP, and you got an A, that's exactly how you're going to self-report that information into the application for admission. I always remind students that you're able to tell us the rigor of the course when you list that AP, IB, honors, dual enrollment. You list that right within that self-reported section. Please do not feel like you need to do anything to adjust your grades, to tell us that it was a weighted class. I'm going to talk in a minute about GPA specifically. So you will data enter courses and grades exactly as they appear on your high school transcript. There's, of course, an essay that you would complete as part of the common application, and then a $60 application fee and a wide variety of ways to get a qualified fee waiver. For the self-reported courses and grades, there's also the ability for you to self-report standardized test scores. This year, for students who are applying for fall 2021 admission, we are test flexible. So if you're choosing not to provide standardized test scores, that's fine. But if you do have standardized test scores, you're able to self-report those to us right in the application for admission. We're happy to receive them officially from the College Board or ACT, the testing agency, but you don't have to pay to send those to us from the agency. You're welcome to just self-report those. Students who are offered admission and choose to enroll at Purdue, we validate self-reported courses and grades as well as those standardized test scores. So the validation process happens on the end. So moving right ahead here, we have 11 academic colleges and schools and over 200 majors. So at the university are over 200 majors for students to choose from. But as I mentioned earlier, we do have an undecided option as well. We're most well known for the College of Engineering, but I always like to say we have about 180 non-engineering majors. So for that student who has a wide variety of interests, a lot of strengths, and you just can't narrow down what major you want to study, please do not feel like you must select a major. At Purdue, exploratory studies is a great choice and a great way to begin at the university. You have up to 4 semesters to truly explore before moving into a particular major at the university. You absolutely can graduate in 4 years if you begin in exploratory studies. So evaluating an application for admission. So we initially look to see, did you meet high school course expectations? So do you have all the courses that we are expecting to see from you? Do you have 8 semesters or 4 years of both English and math, 6 semesters of both science and social studies, and 4 or more semesters or 2 years of a foreign language? So we first look to be sure that you're on track to meet those course requirements. Then we really take a close look at the courses and grades. So what courses did you take? How challenging were those courses, and what grades did you earn? You notice I'm not saying GPA. Every school calculates GPA differently. So for us, we're most concerned with the courses you took, how challenging were those courses, and the grades earned. So GPA isn't a factor in our review process. We also take this into consideration in the context of the opportunities that were available to you within your high school. So did you have 2 AP courses available and you took both? Did you have 20 and you chose to take 1? So we really consider that in context. We look at all the courses and grades that you provide, but we look even more closely at the courses that relate to the major that you're interested in studying. We'll look at things like grade trends. So did you start out a little rocky maybe, but after your first semester or a year, you were on an upward grade trend? That's something that we'll take into consideration as well. As I mentioned, we are test flexible this year. So if you provide standardized test scores, we'll certainly consider those as part of your application for admission. If you apply without standardized test scores, we'll consider you with using all of the other factors that are part of your application. We take a look at your extracurricular activities, clubs and organization, leadership. I always tell students, don't sweat over this piece. Be sure to include everything that you do, and even those things that you do outside the walls of the high school. Oftentimes students forget to tell us about the community service projects or the part-time job or the family responsibility. And so be sure to include that information as well in the extracurricular activities, all the things that take your time outside of the classroom. We read your essays. It's an important part of the process for us. So we want to see, learn a little bit more about you. Purdue doesn't have the privilege of getting to know personally every single student who applies to our institution. And so the essay is that way that we get to know you a little bit better. We, as I mentioned earlier, review those why major and why Purdue questions as part of our process. We don't require letters of recommendation, but we're happy to review those if you send them to us. The letters of recommendation that are most helpful are letters that tell us things that we can't glean from other pieces of your application. The time of year that you apply, we'll go through a timeline in just a second, and then any additional information you want to provide. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the COVID-19 section in the common application. If there was something really impactful that's important for us to know about your experience with COVID-19, feel free to use that section. I don't think that, and I don't want you to stress about that section specifically for Purdue. Everyone we know has been impacted in some way, shape, or form due to the pandemic. So this is really if there's something extra that you think is really important for us to know. An example might be your school closed down and you had no access to internet. And so the way that you finished your classes, maybe you had to do paper and pencil submission of coursework, or you had to, have some other really unique way of finishing that junior year. So if there is something really impactful that you think is important for us to consider, be sure to provide that in that COVID-19 section. But we don't expect that every student will have something like that beyond just, this was a really crummy last 6 months. So that's kind of our baseline on that COVID-19 section. And then there's also a section for you to provide any additional information. So if you're looking at this application and COVID-19 aside, you think there's some really impactful things that we need to know in order to have a complete picture of who you are as a student, be sure to use that additional information section. Again, don't sweat over this. For lots of students, there's really nothing extra. Everything really kind of is as it seems on the application. But if there is something extra that you want to be sure we know about and there wasn't really a place to include it, that additional information section is where you can do that. So dates and deadlines. Our application goes live on August 1st. So seniors, you can begin applying at any time. Juniors, you have beginning August 1st of your senior year is when you can apply to the university. October 1st is when students can begin completing the FAFSA of October 1st of the senior year, the FAFSA free application for federal student aid. We encourage all students to file the FAFSA, even if today your family could write a check for Purdue. If something were to happen or to change in your family's financial situation, that FAFSA is what we would use to review your financial aid again to determine if you would be eligible for any new financial aid. So we encourage students to file the FAFSA, all students to file the FAFSA. And again, you can do that anytime starting October 1st. November 1st is our early action deadline. So students who apply by November 1st will be automatically considered for not only admission, but merit scholarships and our honors college. I'll talk about merit scholarships in just a minute. We do admit a number of students who apply in our early action pool. For some majors, November 1st is the priority deadline. Nursing and computer science are two prime examples, professional flight. So we would encourage students to apply by November 1st for those competitive programs with a priority deadline. Our honors college, as I mentioned, you have an application essentially built into the Common App if you're interested in our honors college. A section of that Common application is going to say essentially, are you interested in the honors college? And if you are, check the box that says yes. You'll see 2 additional essay questions that will populate. Doing those 2 additional essay questions in the Common application will put you into full consideration for our honors college if you're interested. One thing that I should mention about honors, it's a dual admission. So if you are applying to honors and you're applying for your major, let's say hospitality and tourism management, if you're admitted to hospitality and tourism management and you're admitted to the honors college, you're dually enrolled in both hospitality and tourism management and our honors college. So some additional dates and deadlines that are important. January 15th is when we release admission decisions. So all students who apply by that November 1st deadline will hear on January 15th if they were hear what their admission decision is. Also, within the offers of admission, students who are awarded a merit scholarship will be notified of that as well, and that admission decision letter on January 15th. January 15th is also our regular decision deadline. So students who miss the November 1st deadline, you do have until January 15th to apply to Purdue if you're applying for something other than some of those priority deadline programs. After January 15th, we can't guarantee how long our application will remain open. So certainly if you're not able to apply by November 1, be sure to apply by January 15th. March 1st is the FAFSA priority deadline at Purdue. So again, anytime between October 1 and March 1, be sure to get that FAFSA complete. May 1st, that's the deadline for you to accept your offer of admission. So we would encourage you to commit to Purdue by May 1st. If you plan to enroll at the university, that's also the deadline to commit to the honors college if you were offered admission to that. And then May 5th, again, as I mentioned earlier, that's the contract deadline for housing if you plan to live in on-campus housing. It's also the deadline to submit a learning community application if you're interested in participating in a learning community at Purdue. So just as a kind of a fun point, Purdue is in its 9th consecutive year of a tuition freeze. So we are currently charging tuition at the same rates that we did in 2012. Tuition and fees for an out-of-state student is just shy of $40,000 annually. As a public institution, that's why you're seeing some differential fees here between Indiana and non-resident students. But again, tuition has been frozen for 9 consecutive years. I often get the question, will it be frozen when I begin at Purdue, or will it be frozen for all 4 years that I'm at Purdue? I don't know. That is usually a year-by-year decision that our Board of Trustees makes. So we know that it's frozen at least for 1 additional year, and we'll know more usually after the first of the year if it will be frozen then for the next year. Some additional notes about scholarships and financial aid. There is an online financial aid estimator where you can plug in your family's financial information and it will kick out essentially what you can expect to receive when it comes to financial aid. Again, it's an estimation, but it is a nice tool, particularly for students where, and I feel like this is most students, where financial aid and cost of attendance is going to be one of the primary factors that you're using when you're really doing your college search process. Merit scholarships, again, have a November 1st application deadline. There's no separate application to be considered for merit-based scholarships. So if I haven't made that clear thus far, just know there's no additional application to be considered for merit scholarships. The application for admission is the same application that we'll use to consider you for merit-based scholarships. Merit scholarships use a holistic review, just like I mentioned for admission. That same review is what's considered for merit-based scholarships. I mentioned that we're test flexible for admission. We are also test flexible for merit scholarships in our honors college. So a lack of a standardized test score will not penalize you in the consideration for merit scholarship or for our honors college. I will say, however, our merit-based scholarships are incredibly competitive. Only about 15% of our incoming students do receive a merit-based scholarship. I often joke, and I can't see your faces, so I don't know if you're going to find this to be a funny joke or not, but I often joke that frozen tuition for 9 years just means that all students get a scholarship every year. So that frozen tuition certainly is a nice perk for our students, and part of the reason why only about 15% of our incoming students are seeing merit scholarships each year. They range from about $4,000 to $15,000 every, all 4 years or 8 semesters that you're at the university if you did receive a merit-based scholarship. There is a supplemental scholarship application. This is available for a small number of our academic colleges and schools. Once students have applied to Purdue, they'll get an email from us that basically says, thanks for applying. Here's your Purdue application portal information. Within this application portal over the next couple of weeks, students will begin to see the supplemental scholarship applications populating. So you can go into a tool called Scholarship Universe. It's right in that Purdue application portal, and begin to see, it's almost a curated list, scholarships that you qualify for. So for some students, based on the major or the college or school that they've applied to at Purdue, there might be some additional Purdue scholarships that they can apply for. This would be above and beyond the consideration for full merit-based scholarships. Just a reminder again about the March 1st FAFSA deadline. And the financial aid award packages will come out to students usually in early March. The financial aid award package will outline everything that you can expect to receive from the university. So it gives you a few solid months before you have to make your decision to attend Purdue. A few months for you to really evaluate if the cost of attendance is something that will work for you and your family. And then finally, just a couple of ways that you can get in touch with us if you have additional questions. Our email address is a great way to reach us. All of our admission counselors are standing by, happy to answer any questions that you have. Generally, you can expect a response from us within 24 business hours. So we try to turn those questions that come in via email around very quickly to you. We also are on the phones answering phone calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time, so 7 to 4 Central time. Happy to answer questions that you have. If you're not already receiving any email communication from Purdue, be sure to get on our mailing list. You can do that at the link provided here. And then we do have a number of virtual visit opportunities available to students. So you can check out our virtual visit page. Hot off the press, actually just earlier today, we announced that we will begin providing in-person tours. These will be tour only. We won't be holding information sessions. The tours are almost exclusively outdoors. So we'll be doing that using multiple COVID-19 protections so that our students doing the tour as well as our guests are as healthy and safe as possible. So if you are thinking about or considering visiting colleges and universities, and Purdue's on your list, beginning mid-October, we will start to have some in-person, again, campus tours only. For an information session that would cover essentially much of the information that I covered this evening, that will all be done still virtually. We're not putting any guests in rooms at this time. So that concludes kind of the formal presentation. Tommy, do we have any questions that should be answered aloud to the group?
Hey, so we have not received a single question. So I think that means you gave the perfect presentation. You answered all their questions. I have none to share at this time.
All right. Well, unless anyone has any last minute questions that they want Tommy or I to tackle, it was good to be with all of you this evening, and don't hesitate to use one of these methods to get in touch with us. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have about Purdue or about the application process in general. Okay. Well, I think that concludes our event. So thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Megan and Tommy, for sharing with us. For those of you who are participating in this session, after you close this window, there'll be a very quick 4-question survey. Make sure you sign up for more sessions at moacac.org, and this recording will be available in approximately 1 week. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.